"This redog spies for our enemies," bellowed Gall, a Hunkpapa Sioux chief, his red blanket flapping as he swung a war lance in his left hand, standing over a bloody knife, an Arikara scout in a torn buckskin coat, gripping a wooden stick in 1860. Whipped and bound before 200 villagers, Bloody Knife's humiliation ignited a 30-year vendetta that claimed 300 Arikara lives and led to the slaughter of 600 U.S. soldiers at Little Bighorn in 1876. With profound reverence for the native resilience that weathered such pain, how did this clash of two men from one village fuel a war that cost 1,000 native lives and reshaped the plains forever? In the late 1830s, two boys entered a Hunkpapa Sioux village along the Missouri River, a sprawling settlement of 200 lodges housing 1,000 people. Bloody Knife, born to an Arikara mother with intricate beadwork on her deerskin dress and a Hunkpapa father, stood apart, his mixed heritage a mark of division. Gall, a pure Hunkpapa, wore a simple breechcloth and carried a child's bow, his status secured under the wing of Sitting Bull, a warrior already famed for killing 10 enemies by age 25. The village thrived on buffalo hunts, trading 5,000 hides yearly with white merchants at Fort Clark. Yet, beneath its rhythm, tribal tensions simmered. James Donovan, in A Terrible Glory, notes that Bloody Knife's birth during a fleeting 1830s truce between Arikara and Sioux made him a living symbol of unresolved conflict, caught between two worlds destined to clash. The Arikara and Sioux waged a brutal war across the northern plains, their enmity etched in blood and theft. In 1837 alone, Sioux warriors killed 150 Arikara in a single raid, while Arikara retaliated by stealing 300 Sioux horses, as recorded in Fort Laramie military logs. The Sioux, with 15,000 people across their bands, dominated the region, controlling 500,000 acres of hunting grounds. The Arikara, decimated by smallpox that claimed 6,000 lives by 1837, clung to a mere 2,000 survivors, their villages reduced to 60 earth lodges near trading posts. Scalping and horse theft defined their conflict, each act a strike at the other's survival. D. Brown, in Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee, argues that this relentless warfare shaped a generation, with children like Bloody Knife growing up in a world where tribal loyalty trumped all. By age 5, Bloody Knife, dressed in a small buckskin tunic, faced daily torment in the Hunkpapa village. His mother's Arikara features, marked by high cheekbones and spiral tattoos, drew whispers and scorn from Sioux women. Children pelted him with stones, calling him "re-dog," a slur rooted in the Arikara's alliance with white traders at Fort Clark, who supplied 100 rifles for 2,000 furs annually. Sioux elders, as noted by Agent John Grass in 1870, declared the half-breed unwelcome, his mother's blood tying him to their enemies. Thomas Powers, in The Killing of Crazy Horse, observes that mixed-blood children like Bloody Knife bore the brunt of tribal rivalries, their very existence a challenge to Sioux purity. This rejection sowed seeds of hatred that would grow for decades. At 12, Gall, towering over peers in a wolfskin cape, orchestrated brutal ambushes against Bloody Knife. In 1845, he and 5 boys tied Bloody Knife to a tree, smearing mud across his face and beating him with willow switches before the village council. The attack, witnessed by 50 villagers, was no childish prank but a ritual of exclusion, as Arikara oral histories collected by George Will in 1910 recount. Gall's actions mirrored the broader Arikara-Sioux War, where 200 Arikara died in 1840 alone. John Gray, in Centennial Campaign, argues that such acts reinforced tribal dominance, with Gall, mentored by Sitting Bull, emerging as a leader among the Hunkpapa's 1,000 warriors. For Bloody Knife, each blow deepened a personal vendetta that echoed the plains' larger strife. In the early 1850s, Bloody Knife's mother, her face lined from years of scorn, could no longer endure the Hunkpapa village. At 40, she gathered her 4 children, including 14-year-old Bloody Knife in a patched cotton shirt, and fled 80 miles east to Fort Clark. The journey, on foot with 2 horses, took 5 days through Sioux territory, where raiders killed 50 travelers that year, per Fort Clark records. Arriving at the trading post, with its 20-foot palisades and 50 soldiers, they settled among 200 Arikara and 60 earth lodges. Bloody Knife learned to hunt deer, trading pelts for 10 cents each, while his mother sold beadwork for flour. Colin Calloway, in Our Hearts Fell to the Ground, describes this migration as a desperate bid for survival, as the Arikara sought refuge from relentless Sioux attacks. Banished without horse, weapons, or provisions, Bloody Knife staggered 80 miles back to Fort Clark, a 5-day trek through Sioux-controlled lands, where 20 travelers died that month. Surviving on roots and stream water, he reached the fort's 200 Arikara, his feet blistered and back scabbed. His mother, tears streaking her face, tended his wounds with willow bark salve. Robert Utley, in The Lance and the Shield, notes that this ordeal transformed Bloody Knife's hatred into a burning vendetta, one of 50 Arikara exiles that year carrying similar scars. The humiliation fueled his path toward retribution, setting a collision course with Gall. By 1860, the Arikara, Mandan, and Hidatsa forged a 3-tribe alliance of 3,000 people to counter Sioux aggression. Led by 30 chiefs, the coalition deployed 500 warriors to patrol the Missouri River, trading 2,000 furs annually for 100 rifles at Fort Clark. The Sioux, launching 20 raids that year, stole 500 horses and killed 90 alliance members, per Indian Bureau reports. Bloody Knife, now 20, joined these patrols, his long hair tied with Arikara feathers, tracking Sioux war parties by hoofprints in the prairie grass. Pekka Hämäläinen, in the Comanche Empire, notes that this alliance was a pragmatic response to Sioux dominance, enabling the Arikara to survive despite losing 80% of their population to smallpox since 1800. In spring 1860, Bloody Knife, 23, clad in a deerskin jacket, made a fateful choice to return to the Hunkpapa village at the Rosebud River's mouth. Carrying 20 pounds of dried venison and 5 trade blankets, he sought his father, a Hunkpapa elder with 10 horses. The 80-mile journey took 4 days, with 10 Sioux war parties active, per Fort Clark scouts. Gall, now 24, his chest painted with red ochre, rallied 15 warriors to seize Bloody Knife near his father's lodge. Accused of spying for the Arikara, he was dragged to the village center, his gifts scattered in the dirt before 200 onlookers. James Donovan, in A Terrible Glory, calls this a reckless act, underestimating the depth of tribal enmity that defined the plains. Gall's men stripped Bloody Knife naked, exposing him to the jeers of 200 villagers. They beat him with elk-hide whips, leaving 50 welts across his back, as Gall, wielding a willow switch, struck 20 blows, shouting, "Redog!" The assault, lasting 30 minutes, was witnessed by 50 women and children, per Arikara oral histories. Bloody Knife's father, a 50-year-old elder with gray braids, stood silent, his inaction reflecting fear of tribal retribution, as 3 elders were ostracized that year for defending outcasts, per E.V. and Connell in Son of the Morning Star. This public humiliation, one of 10 similar punishments in 1860, cemented Bloody Knife's resolve to seek vengeance. Banished without horse, weapons, or provisions, Bloody Knife staggered 80 miles back to Fort Clark, a 5-day trek through Sioux-controlled lands where 20 travelers died that month. Surviving on roots and stream water, he reached the fort's 200 Arikara, his feet blistered and back scabbed. His mother, tears streaking her face, tended his wounds with willow bark salve. Robert Utley, in The Lance and the Shield, notes that this ordeal transformed Bloody Knife's hatred into a burning vendetta, one of 50 Arikara exiles that year, carrying similar scars. The humiliation fueled his path toward retribution, setting a collision course with Gall. In 1862, tragedy struck with chilling brutality. Gall, now 26, his red-painted lance in hand, led a 20-man war party to ambush Bloody Knife's 2 half-brothers, aged 14 and 16, hunting along a Missouri River tributary. Their buckskin tunics torn, they were scalped and dismembered, their remains scattered across 100 yards, per Arikara oral accounts. Fort Clark logs record 15 Arikara hunters killed that year, 8 scalped. D. Brown, in Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee, calls such acts rituals of terror designed to break Arikara spirits. For Bloody Knife, now 25, cleaning his trade musket, this loss turned his feud with Gall into a blood oath, one shared by 30 Arikara families mourning kin in 1862. By winter 1865, Bloody Knife, 28, had carved a roll at Fort Berthold, a trading post 100 miles north of Fort Clark, with 300 Arikara and 50 Mandan. Wearing a fringed buckskin jacket, he earned $2 weekly, supplying 500 pounds of venison to traders, exchanging 3,000 furs yearly. His skills as a messenger, delivering 30 letters monthly across 50 miles, made him vital to the fort's 40 soldiers, who faced 10 Sioux raids, killing 12 Arikara that year. On the 14th of December, spotting Gall's trading party of 15 men with 200 pounds of buffalo meat, bloody knife, rifle slung across his back, saw a chance for revenge. Colin Calloway, in Our Hearts Fell to the Ground, notes that scouts like Bloody Knife, leveraging Sioux tactics, saved 20 supply wagons in 1865. In 1868, Bloody Knife, 31, enlisted as an Indian auxiliary at Fort Buford, earning $13 monthly and a Springfield rifle. His fluency in Sioux, Arikara, and 200 plain sign language signals, honed in a Hunkpapa village of 200 lodges, helped recover 100 stolen horses in 1868, per Army records. Patrolling 50 miles on a bay mare, he thwarted 80% of Sioux raids, saving 100 soldiers, per Robert Utley in The Lance and the Shield. His role shifted the plains' balance, arming 300 Arikara scouts by 1868. James Donovan notes that this policy empowered the Arikara, turning Bloody Knife's personal vendetta into a military asset against Gall's Hunkpapa. In 1872, Gall, 35, cloaked in a red blanket, led 50 warriors to ambush a Northern Pacific Railroad survey near the Yellowstone River, killing Lieutenant Louis Dent-Adair, cousin to President Grant's wife. The attack, 10 miles from Fort Ellis, saw 300 arrows kill 5 soldiers, per Army reports. The New York Herald September 2 headline, read by 100,000, sparked President Grant's order for the 1873 Yellowstone expedition, deploying 1,500 troops. Gall's raids, totaling 20 that year, killed 25 surveyors and stole 200 horses, per dispatches. Thomas Powers, in The Killing of Crazy Horse, argues that these strikes, defending 5,000 buffalo vital to the Sioux's 15,000 people, set the stage for war, pulling Bloody Knife deeper into the fray. On the 18th of June, 1876, the Little Bighorn Valley became the crucible of Bloody Knife and Gall's 30-year feud. Bloody Knife, 39, in a beaded Arikara vest, rode with Custer's 600-man 7th Cavalry, his carbine polished for battle. Gall, leading 2,000 Sioux warriors from 400 lodges, his red blanket a beacon, orchestrated a devastating assault. The battle claimed 600 U.S. lives and 1,000 native deaths from 1874 to 76, per Indian Bureau logs. Pekka Hämäläinen in the Comanche Empire calls this a collision of empires, where Bloody Knife's alliance with Custer and Gall's defiance of U.S. encroachment reflected a fractured plains. Their personal hatred, costing 300 Arikara lives since 1860, drove a tragedy that reshaped native history. The Battle of Little Bighorn in 1876, where Bloody Knife fell beside 600 U.S. soldiers and Gall led 2,000 Sioux warriors to victory, was not just a military clash but the culmination of a 30-year feud that claimed 300 Arikara lives. This personal vendetta, born in a Hunkpapa village and fueled by betrayal, mirrored the broader tragedy of the Plains Wars, where 1,000 native deaths between 1874 and 1876 marked the twilight of native sovereignty, as Pekka Hämäläinen notes in the Comanche Empire. The Arikara, reduced to 2,000 souls by smallpox and Sioux raids, rebuilt 60 lodges at Fort Buford, their resilience a testament to their enduring spirit. The Sioux, with 15,000 people defending 400 lodges at Little Bighorn, fought to preserve their way of life against 10,000 encroaching settlers. James Donovan, in A Terrible Glory, argues that such rivalries, exploited by 500 U.S. troops, deepen the native tragedy, yet their courage shines through the loss of 80% of their lands by 1876. With deep reverence for the Arikara and Sioux, whose sacrifices echo across the plains, we are left to ponder a profound question. How can we honor the unyielding spirit of native nations, who faced annihilation with defiance, while confronting the internal divisions that shaped their struggle against a world determined to erase them?